Alrighty folks, we're going to begin today's presentation. I'm going to go ahead and start by launching my PowerPoint presentation here, and I promise you this is going to be a very quick PowerPoint before we really get into the guts of today's presentation. So the topic of today's webinar is why should I care about ASI? So my goal is to really educate you about, well, what ASI is and really the business benefit and business opportunity and potential that it provides to its members. So this is a very exciting relationship. Ryonet has partnered together with ASI to offer its clients a discounted and unique membership to ASI. So let's first start with this. I suspect many of you that are joining us in today's web presentation are already decorators. You're probably doing screen printing and apparel decoration, maybe some signage, some rhinestone decoration, some peripheral decoration. Well, you're already in the promotional product industry. And it's really time to go to the next level, and we're going to do that with ASI. And the reason I say it's time to go to the next level is, I was thinking about this morning, how as a business do you grow? What are the ways that you can elevate your business in terms of revenue and grow your business? And this is true of all businesses, whether they're small or large, but typically if you're going to grow your business, you do that by innovative product or new product, bringing new product to the market. You oftentimes do that by hiring, bringing on the right personnel to help you, reach your growth metrics and objectives. And there's also major investments that are involved in terms of like equipment, to give you those new capabilities. So, growing your business isn't really easy, nor is it cheap. But at the same time, ASI, I believe, is a tremendous growth tool that's affordable, that's high impact, and it's literally an overnight growth mechanism. So I'm very excited about ASI and the promotional product world because for the longest time in the imprinting industry, I've seen a major distinction between folks that do screen printing and then promotional product distributors. So I think that we're now bridging that gap, and it's pretty exciting to be involved in that. So let's start with this. What the heck is ASI? Let's start with just a little background, as it relates to ASI. So ASI was established in 1950. ASI is the largest member organization in North America serving the promotional product industry. So it's the largest promotional product organization. So there's PPAI and there's ASI. Those are sort of the two top dogs, ASI being the largest of the two. And moving on, there's over 20,000 distributors, promotional product distributors, and we're going to define what that means as we progress because I know that may seem a little cryptic right now. So there's 20,000 people that are distributing or selling promotional products. And there's 3,500 suppliers of these promotional items. So there's manufacturers and suppliers that actually assemble and create these promotional goods. So distributors and suppliers are the two sort of parties that are involved in the promotional product channel. Next, ASI provides sourcing tools, websites, and marketing materials and collateral to its members. And this is one of probably the most exciting, benefits to membership is all of the content and collateral that you get to, again, help you grow your business. So it's one thing giving you strategies, maybe giving you a tool, but not giving you any marketing or education support, doesn't really help. So that's another benefit of ASI is the great training resources and marketing materials that you gain as a result of being a member. Alrighty, so let's talk about how this works in terms of our partnership with ASI. Why Ryonet? Why choose to get your membership through the Ryonet channel? Well, again, let's talk about some of these core benefits. Membership in ASI gives you free industry education, and I've been to a lot of trade shows in my tenure in the imprinting industry, and ASI is always my favorite trade show. ASI Chicago is one of my favorite places to travel, because they have amazing training, they have killer speakers, and it's just really nice to get training that's not status quo, that's not the same thing year after year. We can only get so much training on how to burn screens and improve our printing technique, but it comes time where we have to really invest in learning new marketing techniques, effective ways to promote companies, and you'll get that through ASI. So really great education. And of course, being a member, you get free admission to all of the ASI shows, which is great. ESP Online, this is, after we conclude this PowerPoint, we're going to dive into ESP Online. This is an amazing tool to basically develop campaigns and to create proposals for your clients. It's amazing. We're going to dive into it, so I'll explain more of ESP Online as we progress. logo mall. So you can get a personalized and a branded website that really contains all of the promotional products that we're going to see in the ASI Online tool. And it's really a great way for you to share a selling tool with your clients, to say, hey, here's ways that we can help promote your company. Here's tools and different products that we can use. So it's basically like an online catalog, but it's easy to search, easy to navigate, and of course it's going to be branded to you, so it can serve as a website or a sub-website. And marketing collateral, we've already talked about. Marketing catalogs to distribute to your prospects and clients, to showcase different products that are can help them promote their company. So those are some of the benefits to Ryonet's clients. Already moving right along here, what in the heck is a promotional product, right? So we've been talking about promotional products and ASI and suppliers and distributors. What is a promotional product? Well, promotional product is any item that can be decorated, with a logo or a slogan or some kind of messaging. And basically, companies use these to promote their products, their services, their organizations. And an example of promotional products would be things like T-shirts, mugs, pens, key tags are again very popular promotional products. So let me give you a better example. Every bank that I have done business with, they when I walk into the bank, they give you a pen and they give you a notepad and maybe a stress squeeze ball and maybe a mug with their logo on it when you open an account. So they're using these products with their logos and slogans to create awareness, to create memory, to give away as a way to, again, expose their brand. So you see promotional products everywhere. In fact, I suspect you probably have a drawer littered with stuff with logos on them. Now, I've seen promotional products that range from a gigantic rubber band ball with a logo printed on every single rubber band and then assembled into this huge rubber band ball. Now, that's an innovative promotional product. I mean, that's a really slick thing because I kept it. Even though it was just an example of the product, I kept it because it was innovative. It's something that could perch on my desk and it's useful. I could take off a rubber band and use it, and it's branded with my logo. So there are hundreds of thousands of different promotional items, everything from an iPad cover with the Starbucks logo to give to their top executives for reaching their goals. Promotional products are ubiquitous. They are everywhere, and they're pretty exciting. So we're going to dive more as we get into the ASI Online tool. We'll talk more specific examples of promotional products, because it could range from temporary tattoos to, again, the example, the iPad case. Now, the reason this has application for you as a screen printer is because you're already in the promotional product business. In fact, the #1 promotional product, promotional product is apparel. So apparel is the #1 promotional item. Uniform programs, caps, T-shirts, things of that nature. So, as I mentioned earlier, you're already in the promotional product world. You're just not an ASI distributor. You just don't have access to the hundreds of thousands of other products that you can decorate. Now, the other sort of application that this has for you is, you're already selling to high schools and sporting organizations, etc. Well, they have other promotional needs. So you might be supplying one of their core needs, which is apparel. But think about it, they also need signage, they might need decals, they might want temporary tattoos to give away to, their attendees. They might want to do clappers and stadium seats and other products to sell to sponsors or to do as a raffle or fundraiser. So you can provide a much better service to your clients by fulfilling all of their promotional needs. Rather than just being a T-shirt provider, you can sit down with them and design a whole campaign to help promote their summer camp or promote their nonprofit. And you can do it through so many different channels. Okay, we know you want T-shirts and that's important to you. We've already discussed that, but let's talk about some other ways that you can effectively and cost effectively promote your your organization. Temporary tattoos are you can get 1,000 for 50, whatever the price may be. They stay on a body for 7 days. Kids love them. It brings awareness. And a good example of this, and I suggest temporary tattoos for a reason. My son Aiden, a 4-year-old, we were at Whole Foods, and the cashier gave, instead of giving candy and other junk, they give out temporary tattoos. And so my son wore this rainforest frog tattoo with the Whole Foods logo on it for probably 7 days. And of course, he's always running around with that as shirt on. So they got a walking body billboard for free for 7 days. So again, that's an example of Whole Foods, a $1 billion company, using a simple promotional tool to gain some more leverage. All right, top 3 reasons to sell promotional products. Again, we just discussed the first one. Your customers already buy promotional products, so it should be from you rather than the promotional product distributor down the street. Again, being an advertising agency, a complete firm or boutique that can offer all of your promotional needs as opposed to just being the screen printer. So it's a paradigm shift. Overnight, it transforms you from being a screen printer to being an advertising agency. Big, big deal. Now, another benefit to selling promotional items is you can increase sales from both current customers and your existing customers. So it's a way to attract new clients, and it's a way to sell more and more often to your existing clients. And that's an important way to grow your business, attracting new clients and selling more to your existing clients. And promotional items help you do that. It gives you something new, hundreds of thousands of new things to sell to your clients and be a better provider and a better service provider. The third component, there's no inventory to carry. There's no investment in equipment. There's no training on that equipment. There's no time involved in learning and operating that equipment. There's no hiring personnel. So again, promotional products, you are a distributor. The suppliers do all the assembly and manufacturing and then do the shipping. So you don't have any of that overhead. All right, moving along here, let's grind through this PowerPoint so we can get into ASI Online. And that's where the sizzle part of the presentation is. All right, let's talk about some of the most popular promotional items. And these are probably things that you have. These are things that your corporate clients have. If you don't have corporate clients, this would allow you to engage with corporate organizations. Alrighty, so one of the most popular promotional product items is wearables. Apparel, we've already discussed that. So things like golf shirts, polo shirts, caps, t-shirts. Every corporation typically gives their employees apparel with their logo on it because it creates awareness and it creates employee awareness and loyalty, etc. Plus, a lot of companies like to give away stuff with their logo on it, and people love wearables because it's not expendable. It's not something you use once and throw away. It's something that can hang in the closet and can be worn 100 times before it gets tossed. So it has a long life in terms of the message, which is important. So next, writing instruments, pens. Everybody needs a pen, right? The iPad and tablets and computers haven't completely replaced the necessity to have to write on occasion. But again, to produce 1,000 laser etched pens, high-end pens to give away to top corporate clients is a big deal, and corporations love doing that because again, it sits on a desk, it's memorable, it has a long life to it. Next, we have desk accessories, things like clocks, things like little desk organizers, notepads, you name it, desk accessories, everything from calendars, desktop calendars that an executive would mount on their desk and write on top of. So there's a lot of desk accessory components. Drinkware, cups, mugs. I mean, every bar, typically has a pint glass with their logo on it, shot glasses that they sell with their logo on it. Coffee mugs that are given away or kept in the corporate kitchenette. That's a pretty big deal, given away as gifts. And here we have calendars. We've already talked about that. So those are some of the most popular promotional items. Now, what are the industries? What are the major consumers of these promotional products? Healthcare, medical, and hospitals. I mean, the guys that distribute or the sales reps for pharmaceutical, products, medical devices. I mean, they give pens, mouse pads, away to doctors, and doctors keep those, they use those, they disseminate those. So again, major consumers of promotional products are the healthcare organizations and the healthcare industry. So if you're not doing business with these industries, this might be a tool for you to engage in these major accounts and transform your company from, what I typically hear is, well, we do stuff for schools and sports, and that's defines your umbrella of clients. Well, expand that, diversify, because if you lose a few of these big school accounts to a competitor, if you're diversified in manufacturing and healthcare, education, which is maybe something you're already engaged in, it's a way to, again, sell more to your existing clients. Maybe engage in universities like recruiting programs. They want to give away Frisbees to the hippie college students. Well, that's a great promotion. Financial industries, writing instruments. If I'm a financial counselor and advisor, maybe I want to give my clients, every one of them, I want them to have a magnetic, calendar that goes on the refrigerator, has my photo on it and my phone number, my email address. So it reminds them, hey, I'm your partner in financial, advisement. Associations, clubs, civic groups, nonprofits, all the above. The city of Scottsdale, Arizona has to do promotions to drive new businesses to move here. Well, they need promotional collateral, nice calendars, etc., so you could fulfill that. So those are the top 5 industries consuming promotional items. Now, how do businesses use promotional products? How are they used, with the end user, the person that would actually be purchasing these? Well, they, number one, and most obviously, they use it for advertising and branding support. Next, they use it for client appreciation. Again, in the example I gave you with the financial advisor, hey, to my top 1,000 clients, I'm going to send them an iPad cover or case or something of that nature. Doing things like employee motivation. In fact, right now, the promotional product industry is on the growth cycle because think about it. 2 years ago or 5 years ago, a corporation may have flown their top performing sales executives to Hawaii, all expense paid, as a way to appreciate them and motivate them for goals and for recognition. Well, now, because of the state of the nation, state of the economy, they're giving them a nice trophy or plaque or some kind of recognition. So that's how corporations are consuming these promotional items. It's an effective way for them to promote and recognize their employees. Employee recognition, we just talked about that. Trade shows, most of us, as in the imprinting industry, we go to the imprinted sportswear trade shows. We go to the MBM trade shows. Well, Ryonet, as an exhibitor at trade shows, we need to promote. And so oftentimes doing giveaways, handing things out that have memory that will have a life to them. It's important for us because we spend a lot of money to be at these trade shows and we want to leverage that type of activity. Events, there's events everywhere, every city, every municipality, every day, every weekend, there's events. And these events need cheap and effective ways to promote their events, whether it's a golf tournament and we're giving away golf visors to the first 1,000 people through the gates, whatever it may be. All right, return on investment. How does this make sense in terms of the money thing? Because to become an ASI distributor, to become a member, to get access to these resources and tools that we're about to share with you, there's an investment to be made. And I'll share with you how the math works. But let's talk about how this makes sense in terms of money, because as a business person, you can't be expected to make a business decision without seeing how it's going to impact your bottom line, right? So let's talk about the 3 ROI, return on investments, for a Ryonet client that chooses to opt for an ASI membership. Promotional product sales are on the increase. I've already mentioned that to you. Corporations can't spend $5,000 to send an employee to Hawaii, all expense paid, because they're the top performing salesperson, but they sure as heck can spend $80 on a beautiful laser etched glass award to give to them to recognize them in front of the whole company. So the promotional product sales are increasing every year. Again, in 2010, sales were reported at $17 billion in transactions. Now, imagine if you could carve out 0.00001% of that, that annual sales. Well, even if you could carve out, throw a few extra zeros in there. I mean, what if this could increase your sales by $20,000 or more in 2011? That's a big deal to the bottom line. The average promotional product transaction, and ASI tracks this through the ASP Online tool, which we're going to share with you here in just a moment. The average sell to the average customer is $900. Can you imagine that? A $900 sell. Now the average, the average customer buys these, $900 purchases 4 times a year, because maybe they're doing, hey, we're going to promote our golf tournament. Now we're going to promote our employee appreciation event. Now we're going to employ, whatever it may be. So think about that. The average customer in a year is going to consume $3,600 worth of promotional items. Well, what if you had a 50% margin, on that sell? I mean, that's an $1,800 profit from each of the, each client per year. Well, let's just say that you hustled and you, did your due diligence and you were able to attract maybe 30 new clients in those 5 different industries that we shared with you. So at 30 new clients at $1,800 in profit in a year, that's $54,000 in profit per year. And if you go out and either sell to 30 clients at this $900 level 3 to 4 times a year, I mean, that's amazing. You can't, that's a challenge to do with apparel sales. Now, again, down here at the bottom, you can see typically margins are anywhere from 35 to 40%. Sometimes they're much higher. Sometimes they're lower. It just depends on the product. So I'll give you an example of that and how you'll see that in the ESP Online tool. Alrighty, that's it for my nerdy PowerPoint presentation. What I'm going to do now is open up my web browser. And what we're going to do at this stage is we are going to talk about probably the most important component to being an ASI member, which is this amazing tool called ESP Online. And this is a web-driven site, so you log in. So here's my ASI number, And the funny thing about an ASI number, I think this will bring a little bit more clarity to the promotional product world. If you called a supplier or a manufacturer of Frisbees and you wanted to get 500 Frisbees with a logo marked on them, they would ask you for your ASI number or your PPAI number. So you can't typically call these companies and place an order because you have to have an ASI membership in order to get access to them. So ASI probably wouldn't appreciate me saying this, but it's kind of like a mafia of sorts. And it would be a horrible thing if it didn't provide a ton of value. So ESP Online is an amazing tool that does a number of things. It allows you to do instant searching and build sort of a project or a suggestion to your clients in terms of, hey, here's 10 different products that I would recommend for your charity raffle or your classic car event, and really put something in front of them as opposed to telling them about promotions, showing them different tools and mechanisms to do that. It also helps you manage the ordering process, the complete process of delivery, things of that nature. So without further ado, I'm going to log in here. So here's my ASI number, my user, and I'm going to go ahead and type in my password, and then I'll go ahead and log in. So it's a very simplified dashboard where you can, of course, run and manage your entire ASI business. Now, as we log in here, you're going to see product suggestions here at the very top. You're going to see a product of the day here on the right-hand side. So things like lanyards. I mean, imagine going to a major 5A, 6A high school, and the students want to wear a lanyard around their neck to hold their keys, that say "Go Bulldogs" and has the logo on it. I mean, imagine that. You can buy 250 of those at $1.32 each. Maybe you can turn around to the school and offer those $6 each so they have an opportunity to make funds and you can make profit. So again, this is the examples of some of the exciting products that are available through the ASI channel. Now, working through this dashboard, we're not going to go through all of these functions, but at the top I can do a quick search. So I can type in temporary tattoos. I can search based on a price range. I can look at my recent activities. I can see the top 20 searches. I can see the top sellers. So see what is selling. What are promotional product distributors, the 20,000 distributors out there, what are they selling? What's promoting? What's hot right now with corporate clients? So again, I can look at lanyards. I can look at Mardi Gras beads, scarves, water bottles, wristbands. I happen to be wearing a promotional product wristband right now. But they're everywhere. Every organization, every group has their own sort of wristband, so why not be able to engage that? Now, one of my favorite functions in the ASI or the ESP Online is the Ideas and Event Planner. So here's an example. Maybe you have the opportunity to connect with a local, pharmacy company or like a pharmacy, and basically they want to promote their flu shots because they charge $35 for flu shots. They make money from it. Well, if you want to do a flu prevention campaign, you could click on this event planner and idea, and this is going to give you a whole range of strategies to promote these types of events. So you can say everything from a USB drive to a packet of information to a little first aid kit, lip balm. Everybody likes to carry chapstick in their pocket. Why not have a flu prevention message on that? Water bottles, all sorts of things. Antimicrobials, hand sanitizers. So again, here's some different tools that I could use to create this program. And it gives me some information here, the steps in and the awareness and the prevention. You can use this in marketing collateral. And so your client doesn't have to do any thinking. They could, it kind of gives you how to sell this particular campaign. Now notice I could go from the low end. So if I click on the dollar symbol here, I could do cheap, promotions, things like a box of Band-Aids with, logos imprinted on them. I could do medium price, and then I can do high end. So you can see there's a different range of promotional, sort of values here and budgets here. So you can really, cater to all of your clients. So that's one of my favorite tools is the Idea and Event Planner. And you can see how broad it is. Remember all of those different industries and all those different, functions in terms of how people use promotional products, whether it be eco-friendly, whether it be a sports or a team program, sales incentives, restaurants, trade shows, campus stores, all of it is here. So great resources, great tools. Alrighty, well, let's talk about just doing a product search. So if I want to do something like lanyard, because I want to do something more than just a t-shirt for a field day event for a high school, we want to also bundle in lanyards into that to give a little more value, than the screen printer that we're competing against. And let me point this out. I think this is important. You're competing with other decorators, and they're competing on price. and you can only go so far as quality because everybody should have great quality. That's kind of an implied. Yes, we have great quality. So if it comes down to a price thing, why not remove that? Why not make price a non-issue and say, listen, we may not be the least expensive, screen printer, but what we can do is something completely unique. So rather than just using t-shirts to promote your event, why don't we do something like t-shirts bundled with a lanyard? And a lanyard is, super inexpensive. We can get you lanyards for $3. And remember, your cost is $1.32. And that's going to help you gain extra awareness for your event. So think about it. If you remove the price thing and you become more of a provider of, a partner in marketing, that can't be replaced. And I think that's the real function that we need to focus on as decorators, is being more than just a screen printer, but be really a provider. So here, as soon as I search for lanyard, you can see all the results here. So there's 500 suppliers for lanyards. There's 7,050 different lanyards to choose from. So I could basically search by category. So I could do a lanyard for a badge holder, maybe a lanyard for a USB drive because Microsoft wants to, give away 10,000 lanyards to their, certified nerds. They could do that. You could search by price. I want to see lanyards that are 50 cents and under because I'm trying to get my margin. I want to really rock out my margin. So I'm going to see all the lanyards that are 50 cents or less. So I can go ahead and click on that price point. The page will refresh, and here's my opportunity to see those different products at those price points. So you can see I can order 1,000 of these particular lanyards. I have to order 1,000 at a time, and it's at 18 cents per lanyard. Well, maybe I mark that up to $1 per lanyard. I mean, how crazy is that, right? So again, this is how you'll search for products. Here's one of my second favorite functions of this ESP Online is I have the ability to click Add to Clipboard. So what I could do is I could basically do research, and I could say, well, I'm helping my client. They run a summer camp for sports agility, to train youth athletes on, being better athletes, and they want to do this whole campaign. So what I can do is I can go and add different products to my clipboard to create sort of an ideal sort of, hey, Mr. Client, here's 15 different products I think would be really wise for you to use to promote your campaign. So I can continue to add to clipboard, and last night I was in here and I added another product to a clipboard, which was a straw hat. But maybe I do things like temporary tattoos. So I could go and type in tattoos at the very top and do a product search. So we're just going to add one more product into this. And then we're going to move on to creating a presentation, which is super cool. So I'm going to type in tattoo, and we'll do that search since we used temporary tattoos as an example earlier with the Whole Foods and my son Aiden wearing a temporary tattoo for ages. We'll go ahead and look for different promotional temporary tattoos. So you can see there's t-shirts, there's patches, there's heat transfers, there's all sorts of other components here. So I'm going to say, Mr. Client, again, doing a temporary tattoo would be an excellent way to promote your company. So, I can go and add a sense of what that would be in terms of product details and things of that nature. All right, cool. So now we have 3 products on our clipboard. So what I can do at this stage is I can create a presentation. So, remember we talked about earlier, how do you grow your business? You do it by investing in new equipment, you bring on new personnel, you invest in marketing, like spending money in Google AdWords and, different advertisements, radio ads, things of that nature. Well, marketing is a big deal, right? So there's a powerful marketing tool built right in here. And effectively, it's the ability to create a personalized presentation for your client. And it's going to look like you spent an hour or more creating this when in fact it took you minutes. So notice here at the very top, we have presentations. So here I can access all of my presentations that I've created. I can also manage all of my projects. So I could actually create a new project called, Arizona Combat Sports, and then of course store and manage all of my data into that project. But for presentation purposes, notice here, next to my clipboard, I have select action. And I can do things like add products to a project. So I can manage, of course, these 3 products into a project, or I can create a presentation with these marked products. So I'll go ahead and click that particular option. And what's going to do is take those 3 products that we had selected in our clipboard, and now we're going to assemble and build a presentation. So really the workflow here is pretty simple. You can click on, from the very top, layouts, templates and layouts, and basically you can design one time. This is a one-time investment. You can create a cover letter. You can design it with colors and the font. You can format it with your company information. So you do that one time and you can save it, and then you can deploy it for future purposes. And of course, back to my presentations here, I can choose the layout that I want. Do I want to put 3 products per page? Do I want to put 1? Maybe I'm going to send this as a virtualized PDF, so I don't care about how many pages are being consumed. Maybe it's a eco-friendly company and I want to be conservative and put as many products on a page as I can to manage space. So effectively, I just use these tools here to create a presentation, and then of course I can preview that presentation, I can save it, and I can send it. So you can create a professional presentation in minutes. You can send it via email to your client to review, and then they can actually place an order right from that presentation. So really everything has been thought of in the ESP online tool. It just makes your life so much easier in terms of selling and promoting. And one way that you as a screen printer and a new promotional product distributor can really leverage this to start growing your business and take advantage of that $900 3 to 4 times a year transaction is if you print a job, say you print a job for a church or a school or whatever it may be, you already have the logo for the client, right? You already have the relationship with the client, right? Well, why not put together a quick presentation for the client and include that in the outgoing order with a thank you. Thanks for allowing us to print your job. By the way, next time you want to promote your Christian youth ministry group, here's 5 key ways that you can do that are effective. Giving away lanyards, giving away temporary tattoos, etc. That's going to plant a seed for the next opportunity. And I think that we're all guilty of not selling and keeping active with our existing clients. We assume that once they buy from us, they're a client for life. We don't need to email them. We don't need to reach out to them. But this is a simple way to do that, to plant a seed. Now, if you're really sharp, you're going to plant that seed, and you're also going to follow up in 3 weeks or 2 weeks and just say, hey, listen, Bob, I included 5 products I think would really help promote your event. I just wanted to see what you thought, see if you had any questions or ideas, and create that dialogue because it's an important way to grow your business. So that's the ESP Online tool. There's a whole range of other tools that that are in the system here. So you can rate a supplier. So you can trust whether a product and a supplier is good because you'll see, hey, there's 3,000 ratings and they average 4.5 stars. Well, you'll also be able to see the suppliers that aren't so good. Hey, this person has 1 star. So you could submit feedback again. I'm not going to spend time going through the logo mall, but you can also create, once again, a custom branded website that basically is going to have all of the products that you're seeing through the ESP Online nicely organized. So your clients can actually use a similar function and search through different products. So maybe they're a cheer camp and they want to see different spirit and squad type of products. They could search and see those and then place an order. So you actually get a website through this membership. Alrighty, I know everybody's probably wondering what in the heck, how much does this cost? I'm excited, I see the business opportunity, but it has to make sense financially. We already talked about the return on investment, so you saw the average order is typically $900, the average client reorders 3 to 4 times a year, and I gave you the challenge, which is either sell 30 accounts, promotional products and other products, or sell to 30 of your existing clients. So that could potentially result in $54,000 in profit based on the example I gave you. So let's do this. Let's talk about the money thing. So when we partnered together with ASI, we wanted to give our clients some value, and that's important to us. So what we did is we negotiated a pretty killer deal for our clients. Now, there's 2 different options. There's option number 1, sort of a premier option, which effectively gives you 4 of the licenses for the ESP Online. So each of your sales reps or each members of your company should really have their own login and their own ASI number because it helps them manage all of their projects, all of their orders, all of their campaigns. So if you have a larger organization, you have sales reps, the first option is probably going to be suitable for you. So it gives you 4 logins for the ESP Online. You get 200 catalogs that they'll print for you with your logo on it. So you can give 200 catalogs out immediately to people you want to do business with. So let's say that you had a close rate of 10%. Imagine gaining 20 new clients that are going to spend $900 with you, 3 to 4 times a year at a 35 to 40% profit margin. Cha-ching. Personalized website with upgrades again. So ASI will help design this website for you. Unlimited support and training, and that's $249 a month. So a lot of people will say $250 a month. Oh my goodness, that's so much money. Well, if you think about it this way, we talked about the average transaction for somebody consuming promotional products is $900 a month, or excuse me, $900 3 to 4 times a year. So, and let's say that that's on the low end, at a 35% profit margin. So what does that mean to you? That means $1,200 in profit. Well, that's probably going to help pay for your ASI membership. So 1 or 2 clients could potentially pay for your promotional product membership. Well, if you want to start get into this and and you don't have a large organization, you don't need more than 1 login, you can start with the ASI membership package, which is your ASI membership. It's 2 licenses. So maybe, you're a husband and wife show, you can each have your own login. You get your personalized website, you get 100 catalogs, and of course you get the same training and support through ASI. That's $149 a month. Great place to start. Now the other component of this is we beat up ASI pretty good to basically let our clients evaluate and test and use the system for free. And so you get 3 months contract free to use ASI. So there is no reason, there is no excuses to not sign up because you get 3 months to use this for free. If you can't sell at least 1 new client per month, some promotional items, then you're not using the tool. You probably shouldn't have licensed it to begin with. And you're going to let your competitor embrace ASI and promotional product distribution. So definitely sign up, take advantage of the 3 months, use their training resources. They have amazing training videos that are going to teach you how to become a better marketer from their website. So I'm actually going to send everybody this page here, and I'll send you another link where you can read more information about it on our website. But basically, if you want to sign up, you can just complete all this information here. Representative from ASI will give you a phone call to confirm, or you can call them if you have any questions. So again, here's the things that you get on the right-hand side. You get ESP Web, which we talked about. You get the ESP Order function, which helps you manage your orders and place orders. You get the Logo Mall, and I'll click here to view the Logo Mall to show you what this looks like. Again, this is would be a branded website. It would have your logo, and effectively your clients can look at different promotional items. It's an online catalog, so it's kind of a cool resource. And then of course the ASI catalogs here at the bottom. You could get a catalog with your logo decorated on it, so it looks like you produced it, spent a fortune, like you're a genius, and give out 1 to 200 of these to your clients. Of course, keep some of these, so when your clients do come to you and you're advising them, you can use it as a sales tool. Alrighty, folks, that's my presentation on promotional products. What I'm going to do at this stage is take some of your questions. So using the dashboard to the webinar software, type in any questions you have, and I'll do my best to answer those questions. I do not represent ASI, so I might not have all the answers, but I'll make sure that we get them for you. Again, using your dashboard, enter in any questions that you may have.